Good morning, everybody. Monday, I got a little late start this morning, and then I wanted to do some stuff that trying to do the live stream and do these little very delicate parts for these spurs that I'm building. Um, couldn't get it done, so I'm a little late with the live stream, but we're working on some interesting stuff today. So here we go. And it's snowing again. Gotta love Cody. Snowing again. Welcome to Blacksmithing in Real Life. Hey, this is Cody Iron Works. Posted these over the weekend. That's the fancy rifle racks. And I actually got one. Somebody actually picked one up this weekend on the Etsy store. So thanks to whoever did that. Appreciate it. I sold several at the gun show in December, but that's the first one I've sold online. So we'll see how it goes. Do I expect them to take over the hat racks? No. Would I like to sell a few? Yes. That'd be good. All right. Parts this morning. With the super wore out horseshoe. Going to work on a few of these. I've got a couple of projects that require some of these. Hello, good morning. And so we're going to be working on a few of these parts this morning. And so the ones that are really nice, they get made into back plates and the signs that I do with parts in them. And the ones that are a little wonky, they get made into rain chain. Nothing goes to waste around here. But I need a little tiny heart for sign. Do that. I am Cody, Wyoming, which is right in the middle of the country. It's the closest town to the east gate of Yellowstone National Park. We're kind of in the Rocky Mountains. My ears, what? Thanks for reminding me. Oh, yeah. Sure. Well, I'm making up. Got to do a sign today. If I can get to the post office, I'm going to have to shovel out. We're getting more snow this morning. It's busy, just always crazy busy in here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, tinnitus. Yeah, and have had it for years. Yeah, I finally got the gun racks on the Etsy store, so I posted them on the Etsy store. So these are actually, in fact, this one's actually, this one might go in the mail today. So I gotta, I had to have those cut out because you're not allowed to. YouTube is very sensitive about touching real guns during a live stream. So, um, so I had those made up, and when I was doing TikTok lives, I had the fake guns made up. Brady across the street cut them out. So we're going to turn this into a heart, a little tiny one. Well, I think my tinnitus probably came from shooting as a kid. You know. Back in the '70s, nobody wore hearing protection back in the '70s. So in the '80s. So and I started shooting in the late '70s. So I'm sure that probably led to the tinnitus. So, thanks for the likes. Appreciate that, you guys. So I'm actually working on a deal with Gene Stringary, who has the Knife Center in Yellowstone Gift Shop downtown in Cody, Wyoming, and he wants me to take these racks to the. And so it looks like I'll be setting up at the Winchester Gun Show, and that is in July. I think is it right after the 4th? It's either right before or right after the 4th. So I'm going to be bringing these racks with all the gun racks on them and the wall hooks and all of that stuff. And then I'm also going to be bringing some knives. So I'm going to try to, Gene wants me to try to bring in some knives, so I'm going to do some knives too. So, and then I might even stuff, kind of see how it goes. I make so many different products, there's no way for me to bring everything everywhere I go. So, um, and I have the standard stuff that I do, like the real fancy wall hooks. I'm kind of known for the fancy wall. And of course, I always have some dinner bells around, and I do some really fancy dinner bell. I do some really fancy dinner bell ringers, and this is actually a horse head that I do. But I do some crazy, like this is one I finished up over the weekend. These little mini draw knives for doing handles, for making hammer handles and tomahawk handles. Work really good. I did have one little bit failure this weekend. I didn't quite have enough pressure in the propane tank to do a forge weld on this tomahawk, so it's going to have to wait until I get some more propane, or if it warms up, I'll do it outside in the coal forge. So we'll see how that works out. So drawing down that, this is going to be a hard. I'm gonna draw that back on both sides there a little bit. So I try to get them as even as I can, but it's hard because the shoes wear different, right? One side of the shoe is always more worn than the other side. Try to make your stuff balanced, but it is what it is when you're dealing with used material. And I kind of specialize in the used material, so this morning I was working on this little intricate little, they call this a shaft guard. And here's the rasp, or here's the spur band. And then there's the shank. And I always leave really long. And that way I can adjust for whatever kind of a rowel I'm going to use. So I do a couple of sides of the rowel. There, there's a little rowel. There's a bigger rowel, right? So you get a little tiny rowel and a big long shank, and that's funny, but you got to have plenty of throat for a big rowel. So I'll probably take about half of that off, but it's just a lot easier to forge all those up with that extra length on there, and then I can cut them off instead of trying to fiddle part around with a little tiny 2-inch piece of whatever. And I try to forge them together so they're all the same, right? I mean, that's the object of a pair of spurs is you want to make them as close as you can to the same. And so I do all of the things that I do. I try to do them this, as pairs. And the more of the forging process I can do together makes them turn out easier. A lot less fiddling around with the finish. Yeah. So that's going to be our heart when we get it all done here. We're doing it, but we might as well do a couple. These shoes are very wore out. So really thick. As they get thin, when you hit that, of course, that material is going to move a lot faster. So you got to adjust your one side to the other. You got to adjust your striking. I generally don't do the hearts out of these little tiny horseshoes like this. I'll use a bigger horseshoe, but I'm confined by the space of my packing. So when I'm doing these signs like this, because they're heavy, I have to use flat rate packing because they're heavy, and you don't want to have to pay by the ounce. I can tell you that. So I got to make my signs have to be less than 12 inches by 8 inches. And so I have to use small shoes to make the sign up so I can put them in the. Get it? Get it? So I'll grab a couple of double-lock shoes up. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but these are fantastic. These Niptics. I use the hell out of these things. And I've tried to get a sponsorship thing on the, on the, it hasn't worked out. I really only like to advertise stuff that I use, but YouTube's funny about it. But these really work good. They were given to me, actually. A friend of mine gave them to me. They're like little mini bolt cutters. Okay. More hearts. What's happening here is this shoe is so thin, that set of tongs won't hold it. So you got to get my tongs turned up. Well, I'm out of heat. Here's the trick to doing these. You want that scallop in there and you don't want to take it off. So when you're doing this final adjustment, you want to lay that on the top of your board. And so there's our happy little. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Cody Iron Works. Well, we're going to do 4 or 5 of these up. Need to rebuild the horn on this Anvil pretty bad. It's getting pretty flat. A lot of people want to use this Anvil. They only want to use it at a 90-degree angle. But when you're shaping horseshoes, you can get a different curve on everything if you skew yourself to the anvil forward. A lot of guys forget about that. time. That's the way we do it. There we go, on the side. There, I got the wrong color again. Do not want my work to go heating across the shop. So I cut those and I put them in the. I put them back in the forge, and a lot of times, once that shoe heats up, those nails kind of just tap out. Not always. And of course, the minute I say that, get a bunch that won't. And it depends on how rusted the shoe was. Also depends on how thick the shoe is. These shoes are really, really thick. So sometimes you'll have to use friction. This might work and it might not. Resetting these shoes, you would be very careful about taking the nails out of them. I don't care because we're going to forge them anyway. Turn them into other stuff. And if you don't get them all out, well, that's fine too. Try to get the heel nails out and the toe nails out. Because if I'm using them for back plates on something, I generally, that's the nails I'll drill out for mounting. That one is done. That one is healing. It ain't coming out. I can feel it. Sometimes if it's just right, like that, I can shear that nail off. I've done this a lot. I tried to figure it out one time. I know I'm well over like 20 tons of horseshoes I've done this to. And 20 tons is a lot of horseshoes. Probably actually more than that in actuality. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I hate to tell you guys, but this whole blacksmithing thing, it ain't all sexy like Danielle Steele, one of Danielle Steele's novels. That ain't what this blacksmithing's about. There is a lot of repetitious baloney that you got to do every day. With moments of fun stuff. Kind of the best part about it is not having a boss. That's kind of the best part about this whole deal. Heavy ass shoes. I don't know what. They aren't branded. They got tons of nails in them. They must be like a workman or something. Man, that's a heavy old shoe. That is like a workhorse. That shoe's twice as heavy as a regular shoe that I put on saddle. Got like 30 years of this without doing this, is it? I'm from Cody, Wyoming. Cody, Wyoming is the east entrance of Yellowstone National Park. So we are almost right in the middle of the country. We're on the east side of the Rocky Mountains, northwest Wyoming. USA. Like that. It's a little better. You have to, when you're doing these, you have to kind of, you're making a compromise between the line on the inside of the shoe and the line on the outside of the shoe. And they're not clean. You have to kind of make a decision. This is going to be our U for our sign. For the big guy. If you want to see them, you can go to the Etsy store and check them out. So I kind of changed that knot into a horseshoe. I turned it into a letter. The side needs to be square. I'm just a little more. That'll work. All right, let's try this. I'm going to grab that on the back side of that, of the point of that part. That keeps you from overfending the other side. Just knocking off that loose scale, trying to get rid of all the dirt. Set the top. So we're getting along there. My goal is about 8 feet on these. And as I get one done, I take them down to the art league. A lot of wedding gifts. These end up as wedding gifts. By the time I get done, I'll probably have 25 hours in one. So. And we're going to finish up a couple of little things that we started the other day. Then I'm going to go well. We go with this guy again. Well, I'm not going to put up with you. I think some of those guys do that because I have an opinion about some stuff. All right, little hammer over the. Trying not to take the decoration out of it. Generally, you can use wood, but these are huge nails. Big 12-inch pole barn spikes. All right, there's our hook minus our. UHU 248. Let's see what you've done. How much content do you have on anything other than just flap your gums? There's 22 people in this live stream right now. Why don't you show us? Send us a link. Put a copy of link there on your page. Let's see what you've done. Or are you just another basement dwelling neckbeard? Likes to just spew hate on everybody else's channel. Silence. My opinion, I think most college is a waste of time, at least today. That's one of my opinions. From a guy who went to college. Thanks. I should have built this thing 30 years ago. So I'm going to put another one of those in. That's the mounting holes. Have any of those hanging here, sitting here? No. I'll drill those out with the mounting holes. And so as I'm doing other stuff, I throw these in, and that way I kind of in between heats. So I had 2 of these laying there. That I had done previously, probably Friday, can't remember. And I try to make them consistent, but everyone's going to turn out different because, you know. But if you're looking for consistency, the trick is using the same place to do the same, perform the same thing on the anvil every time. And when you do enough of them, after you do, what do they say, 10,000 hours? So 10,000 hours, you do something for 10,000 hours. If you're paying attention, you're going to get good at it. Man, have I done a bunch of these. Holy moly. I bet I've done damn near 500 of these at least. At least. They're very classic and everybody likes them. And I'm, doing stuff for the tourists. So that's what I'm doing. And that's going to be a big hook. That's good. Because if I know people, I know that bigger's better. Most folks. Whew, I'll cut those down some. Those are 12 inches. I just took the 12-inch nails and just threw them in there. That's a big, it's a big hook. All right, if anybody's got any questions or anything pertaining to blacksmithing or horse training or working every day for a living or having a business, because there ain't too many guys that make all of their own tools. And I pretty much make all my own tools, not all of them, but most of them. And there's not too many, I don't think there's too many professions where that's the case, where you actually make all the tools that you use. Hello, greetings from Cody, Wyoming. And not only the tools, but I don't only make the tools, but one of these days I want to build me a cabin. I'm going to build me a cabin. I'll make all the tools that I use to build the cabin. That's my goal. And I'm going to do all the nails if I don't run out of 8 years first, because it very well could be that I run out of years before I get the chance to do that. Do the whole works. Build the hinges, build all the door hinges, do all the nails for the window sashes and the doors, build the tools to scrape all the logs. Build all the tools to prep all the logs. That's kind of my goal. I don't know if the channel takes off a little bit where I could just donate or just get all my time to do that. That's what I would do. Two things I would do. I'd get me a 1942 Chevy 1-ton truck, and I'd make it into a blacksmithing truck so I could build the stuff right where I was building the cabin. And then I'd build the cabin, and we'd build all the tools required to build the cabin and the hardware. Kind of turned out all right. Finished. Can't disagree. There's not. There's a heck of a lot worse things to believe than believe in that, I guess. I've never really considered myself a Christian, but I can tell you one thing. I've spent most of my life living a lot like Jesus. It's pretty hand to mouth around here. So yeah, those turned out all right. That one not, you know, you do 1,000 of them, and the leaves, you know, you have good days, you have bad days. So I need to do what I really need to be doing. It's still a little warm. What I really need to be doing is these horseshoe bases. I need 80 of these, but we got about 2 feet of snow in the last 5 or 6 days, and my horseshoe pile is absolutely buried under 3 feet of snow out there, and I just have not gathered up the fortitude to get the shovel out and dig for them. But I think there's 24 of these in here, and I need 80. So I got a ways to go. On a good note, I have plenty of horseshoes. They're just buried in the snow, this deep, underneath the eave of this building, with all the snow unloading on it. So it's going to require me an hour or two of shoveling to find them. So I was hoping that maybe we'd get a nice Chinook come through here. And so, all right, everybody, I'm going to go weld now. And sometimes I show the welding and sometimes I don't. But we'll kind of see what happens. Get it hot and hit it. Always wear your safety squints. If you like the content, slip over to the Etsy store and just like some stuff. You don't have to buy anything. Just go over there and like some stuff. I just posted yesterday. I just posted these gun racks that I'm making. And as far as I know, there's nobody else doing this style of a gun rack like those ones. At least not on Etsy I've seen. I really like them hanging vertically. I've had them all hanging in the shop a lot, vertical. I like it. later today, maybe we're going to come in and maybe finish some of these knives. Old Gene Stringary, he's chomping at the bit for me to get some knives done for him. And then I got to do a bunch of stuff for the art league, and I got a bunch of stuff happening. And I think maybe, I built these thinking, man, one of these days I'm going to need these. And I can't imagine a time when I'm going to be doing fencing and I'm going to need these fencing dogs. So I think I'm going to put this hand forged set of fencing dogs, and you can watch me forge them because I did a video of it on the Etsy store today. And so if you're interested in something like that, and that is a one-of-a-kind deal, and I will stamp them. I haven't stamped them, but I will. I'll stamp them with my maker mark there. And I think I'm going to put them on the Etsy store because what the heck am I going to do with them as a blacksmith? I'm not doing fencing anymore. And I guess if I ever go back into fencing, I can make myself another set of them. So, but those are all forged, and I'll show you what they were forged out of. I got a piece of it here. These they call them fencing dogs, and they're made for strength shake barbed wire fence. But I made them out of this, and this is some old. It's got to be 120 years old. It's rebar, old school rebar. And I know that this rebar came out of a bridge in Casper, Wyoming. So, because the guy I got it from the guy who was helping tear the bridge down, and it came out of a bridge in Casper. So I turned this into these, and I think I'm going to put those on the Etsy store today. And I don't know. I might even put this little baby draw knife on there too that I just finished it. So we'll kind of see what happens here. I don't know. I'm going to go have a cup of coffee and contemplate, and then I'm going to be welding. And if I weld, maybe I got a bunch of welding to do, so maybe I'll come back and maybe I'll go live with the welding. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope it just makes your day just a little bit better. That's the whole goal of this is, thanks, everybody.